My name is Sanath Chilakala. I am a director of data and AI at Entity Data. And today we'll be talking about AI governance and how it enables innovation in a certain organization. In the next 10 minutes, I will show you why AI governance isn't just slowing down innovation, it actually is the secret weapon that is accelerating it. By 2030, AI is expected to contribute $15.7 trillion to the global economy, but yet 78% of organizations are still struggling with oversight. Here's how the winners get it right. So let's talk about the adoption. I wanted to start with adoption. So the global AI market reached 391 billion in 2024 and projected to hit 1.81 trillion by 2030. Enterprise adoption jumped from 55% to 78% in just 1 year. Generative AI use exploded from 33% to 71% between 2023 and 2024. This isn't just gradual adoption, it's an AI tsunami. Healthcare leads, out of the industries out there, healthcare leads with 90% of hospitals using AI for diagnosis, while 92% of students are using AI, generative AI tools daily. But here's the problem. With great power comes great responsibility, and most organizations aren't ready for that responsibility. Now, let's talk about the governance imperative. So, 80% of business leaders identify AI ethics and bias as major roadblocks. 72% of executives are delaying AI investments due to ethical concerns. Just take an example Microsoft chatbot Tay, how it basically enabled toxic behavior in just 24 hours. And there is another use case which is Compass. Compass offers showed bias in criminal sentencing. These are just not PR problems. These are business ending risks. Organizations with governance frameworks deploy AI significantly faster. And at the same time, high performing companies with responsible AI generate 50% more revenue growth. A well governed AI system reports substantially higher customer trust scores. But here's what most people get wrong: governance doesn't slow you down, it speeds you up by removing uncertainty and reducing technical debt. There's a six pillar framework of how an effective AI governance can be implemented. If you master these, you transform your compliance from a cost center into a profit center. Pillar 1: transparency and explainability. The key about this pillar is to make AI decisions understandable to stakeholders and to implement interpretable machine learning techniques to ensure that every person in the organization understands what exactly is happening, why is it happening, and who is impacting and what is the problem statement that they're solving. The key is if you can't explain it, you can't trust it. And if you can't trust it, you can't scale it. Pillar number 2: accountability and responsibility, which is a very, very important pillar. We have to establish clear attribution of all AI system actions. We need to maintain an entire audit trail of all AI decisions taken out there. Every AI decision needs a human signature, someone who stands behind the outcome. We have to have a human oversight and in the loop to ensure that every AI decision which is impacting a certain business scenario is approved by a human. As some of the people basically fear that AI will be replacing humanity, but I believe that AI is an enablement to humanity. But a responsible AI is only enabled using always human in the loop. Pillar number 3: fairness and bias mitigation. You need to proactively identify and correct algorithmic bias and implement continuous monitoring for discrimination. We have to ensure that every AI decision, every AI implementation is basically taken into account for every business operation within an organization. It should not be skewed enough. It cannot be unethical to one group and ethical to another group. We have to ensure that every entity within an organization is equally accountable and there's equal fairness implemented across the board. Bias isn't just unethical, it's unprofitable. Fair AI reaches broader markets. Pillar number 4: privacy and security. You need to protect your personal information through consent mechanisms. You have to ensure that your data that is which is out like PHI, PII data, which is very very important for industries like healthcare, finance, insurance. You have to make sure that every data is preserved and take into account of utmost privacy. Privacy isn't just a feature, it is the foundation that everything else is built on. Pillar number 5, safety and risk management. You have to integrate safety consideration to every deployment, development and deployment stage. You need to consider comprehensive risk assessments with continuous monitoring at every step of the way. Safety isn't just about preventing innovation, it's about enabling sustainable innovation. Then, some people might question how long will it take to implement an actual governance model. What I would say is the implementation roadmap would usually take, let's say, 90 days. We can split it out in 3 different phases. Phase 1, which is the foundation. You define all the guidelines, you write all that, you do all the risk assessments, you ensure that there's every purpose definition linked to a business priority, and assemble all cross-functional governance teams to ensure that we set the foundation really strong. A good foundation leads to a strong roadmap. Always start with why, then build with the how. Phase 2, integration. The next step is to ensure that whatever principles that have been identified in the foundation are embedded by design in every development process. Then we also need to implement continuous monitoring systems to ensure that it is validated every step of the way. We need to deploy visual dashboards at real time, with real time system health to ensure that we catch this immediately when something goes wrong. Governance is not just a gate, it's a guide that runs alongside your development. The phase 3 is the optimization. Now, how do you do this? You basically define KPIs. Once you define your governance, you define KPIs against each governance principle. You track it effectively. You need to align with international standards like ISO 42001 and also align to certain EU, like for example, EU AI Act laws. You have to ensure that those laws are also taken into account and any regulatory compliance is measured as well. You need to engage stakeholders throughout the AI life cycle. Always measure what matters and what matters gets managed. Then certain regulatory implementations which are out there, across on a global scale. As you guys know that the EU AI Act, which is already implemented out there, which is the first world's first comprehensive AI law, which is effective 2025. There are penalties up to 35 million euros and or 7% of the global revenue. And over 1,000 AI policy initiatives across 70 plus jurisdictions are enforcing this. Then, what's the strategic advantage, some might ask, right? Then you have to think about organizations implementing proactive governance positions themselves ahead of regulations, substantially reducing compliance costs while minimizing risk. The companies mastering AI governance today will write the rules for tomorrow AI economy. These are not just complying, they are competing. Just to give you a perspective about a manufacturing company who was able to implement AI within 9 months, and they spent only $500,000, but they had zero compliance problems. They were able to go to market much more faster. They were able to achieve AI processes much more faster. They were able to talk about a good success story all the way through in a much less expensive way. They have defined a very scalable framework by implementing a very responsible governance framework. What are some of the key takeaways from today's session? Keep this in mind. AI governance delivers quantifiable business value beyond compliance. Responsible governance transforms regulatory requirements into competitive advantages. Early adopters of comprehensive frameworks create sustainable competitive advantages as well. So my final message to you is the question whether you can afford to implement AI governance or it's whether you can afford not to. The AI revolution is here. The governance revolution is next. Be ready. Any questions so far? Thank you so much. Bye.